Alright, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I've got a pretty good video for you guys today. We're going to be talking about how I built probably the cheapest version of a usable sim that is still fun to play on and gives you a somewhat realistic racing experience. So let's jump right into it. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. So let's go ahead and get right into the big expense of this sim rig, and that is going to be your wheel and pedal setup, which for this rig is the G923 True Force setup by Logitech, and this one I have for Xbox. And I'll show you guys the wheel here, and we'll turn it on. So one thing I'm going to say right off the bat that I really like about this wheel is the paddle shifters are, give it a second. The paddle shifters are made of a nice aluminum and feel pretty good when you click them. All the buttons work really good. The steering wheel is leather, which is nice, and it has some pretty good resistance considering the price. So I actually do like the steering wheel a good amount. So the total price for this setup was just under 400 bucks, everything included. And I'm going to break that down for you guys. So, wheel and pedals, Logitech G923, about 360 bucks after shipping. Seat, for me, was free because I had it laying around and it was out of an old car. What in some okay racing seat on Craigslist would cost, I'm sure you could find one for about 50 bucks. Monitor is it's just the most basic cheap TV screen there is, and it works just fine. So I don't know, maybe another 50 bucks. Obviously your Xbox and stuff, I'm not going to include that. The stool won't be included either. Now for the cockpit, I built this out of steel tubing we had laying around from some other project. Now you might say, well, there's a big expense that a lot of people don't have. You might not have steel tubing laying around. You might not have a welder. If you do have a welder, you can go buy stainless steel tubing for practically nothing. I'll throw up a picture of how much it costs. You could make this out of wood. You could make this out of almost any material. So it is, if with a little bit of ingenuity and if you're a little thrifty, you can make this for basically the same price I did, which is just under 400 bucks. So I think for the money, you can't get a lot better. Now your second big thing is going to be your pedals, but one thing that's nice about buying that wheel is that included in the kit comes with 3 pedals. So you got your clutch, your brake, and your gas. The gas, I have to say, is not quite as stiff as I'd like it to be. The brake feels pretty good overall. It's very stiff. The clutch probably could use to be a little stiffer, and the clutch is very linear. It's just one, there's no secondary spring that stiffens it up at the bottom or anything like that. But that being said, you can buy springs for these things to kind of adjust how they feel to see how you like them. Now this rig is not complete. I don't have the pedals mounted down yet. In fact, I just have these blocks of lead to hold it there, and we're not done yet, but I've been using it a lot, and it's actually a lot of fun. Now, the reason I decided to build this sim is because I race a Trans Am car with SCCA. It's out here. It's way out in the shed there currently because I blew up my motor. Anyways, if you want to see more about that, there's a lot more videos on it. But this is about sim racing and how close this sim setup is to real racing, how realistic it is, and how much I like it. So first we're going to go over the things I don't like. One thing about this Logitech is that it is gear driven, and as you will see when we get into the gameplay, it's a little rattly and a little clunky. But depending on how you adjust the force feedback and a bunch of other settings, you can mitigate that. And if you don't want a ton of resistance on the steering wheel, then it can actually be extremely nice. But I like as much feedback as I can get, just like my car is. It's not easy driving a car, and you're getting a lot of vibration and other stuff through the steering wheel. So being able to feel that in the rig is extremely nice. My only other slight gripe with this setup is the clutch pedal is soft for starters, and it's just linear, as to where when you press a clutch in a race car, it's like two stages. You press it in, and then the clutch releases so you can shift the gear. Whereas this is just, it's all one fluid motion. But for the price, I really like this thing. And for some positives, the force feedback is really nice as long as you don't have it to where it vibrates too much. The pedals feel, the brake pedal especially, the brake pedal is very stiff and feels very responsive. And I really like that. The steering wheel is extremely nice. The leather is really nice. And I think it overall has a very great, high quality feel. So let's hop into a little bit of gameplay and I'll tell you guys a little more about it. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and run a couple laps for you guys here, just so you can kind of see what it's like and see a little more about my one complaint with the vibration. So we're going to run a Formula Mazda here at Laguna Seca, because that's a track that I'm racing at quite soon. So here we go. So to start off with, it feels good. So there's one of the major complaints right there, is all that vibration. But like coming into the turn there, the brakes feel great. I've got lots of feel from the wheels. I can tell when the rear end's slipping a little bit. But that vibration is kind of a killer. But I like see right there, mid-turn, there's no vibration. And I can just feel the wheel. Is really nice, but I wish maybe there's something in the settings I could figure out to turn that off. I set on my Forza settings, I set vibration to a minimum. Right there we got a lot of spin, and you could feel the rear end stepping out, which is really nice. Past these guys on the inside. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn down, we'll show you how to do it here. You can go to options, controller, there's wheel options, advanced settings. And if we go here and turn down force feedback way down, and we turn down some of these other ones, this will lessen the vibration significantly. And for now, it'll make it easier for me to talk. So, whoa, Jesus Christ. These Forza people are crazy. So there's a lot. Right now, the wheel does not have as much resistance, which is part of the thing I really liked about this, is for a budget wheel, it's got good feel. But the vibration is just killer. So if you're doing this just to have fun and do sim racing and you're not looking for the absolute most realistic setup, I'd highly recommend this for a budget build because it feels great. It's just, it's not as much force and as realistic as I'd like unless you want to deal with all that vibration. But like coming into the turn here, the brakes feel really good. They're stiff. Basically no complaints there. Now, of course, if you got a little extra money to spend, I'd recommend a direct drive. Probably the Fanatec, the CSL DD. I think the wheel and the base is about $400 with pedals, I think. So that's a pretty good option, but it's a little more complicated to set up and requires just a little more know-how. But going through all these turns with the less force feedback, it feels great. You can feel a lot with the car. You can feel the rear end step out. Hopefully you guys are getting a pretty good view of the pedals. See right there, I got loose and I can feel it, feel the wheel turning itself. Whoa! Okay, right there I really got loose. Not doing too good here trying to talk to you guys and run this. Oh my God. Now, do I think if you have the money, you should get a direct drive wheel like the one I mentioned? Yes. But a lot of people like me, you got other stuff to spend your money on. Some of you might even have a real race car, and you just want to learn tracks, which is one of the main things I'm doing. Since I'm going to Laguna Seca later in the year, I really want to learn this track and get somewhat better of a feel. And this, compared to using a controller, is just night and day, obviously. So it's going to be just miles better trying to learn the track with a wheel and pedals than it is using a controller, which is one of the main reasons I decided to do it. Boy, do I not look good at driving on this right now, but it's hard when you're trying to talk. So yeah, I'm just gonna run a couple laps here and just let you guys watch, and you can see what you think. The paddles are one of the best part. I think the paddles feel really nice. So I'm gonna shut up now and just let you guys watch. Right there is a good example. I felt the rear end step out, and the wheel tells me all that with the feedback, and it's just easy to correct, and it feels fairly realistic. We'll go one more here. Whoa, shit. Well, there you have it, guys. There's a few laps for you. So let's do a final thought on this whole setup. So who I would recommend this setup to is people who are just getting into sim racing and want to start on a budget, or maybe if you have your own car, real race car, that you just want something to learn the tracks with and you're tired of using a controller. This is a great way to learn tracks and have a somewhat realistic feel. And I highly recommend, if you're on a big budget like me, or I guess a small budget, that you get this Logitech G923. I think it's a great budget wheel, and I think you'll all enjoy it. So good luck building your own sim, and hopefully I'll see you guys out there racing sometime. All right, we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.